Be'ezus Hashem, today's daf is Masechta Shavuos Daf Chaf Hey, number 25. And we will begin from the Mishnah on Daf Chaf Hey, Amar Aleph. Very straightforward Gemara. So the Mishnah says like this: Echad Devarim Shal Atzmoi. A oath could be on something that you want to do yourself. For example, you're going to eat a piece of cake. I swear I'm going to eat a piece of cake, or I swear I'm not going to eat a piece of cake. The Echad Devarim Shal Acherim. It could be about the subject of the shvuah, could be about somebody else doing something. The Mishnah is going to give you an example. The echad dvarim sheyesh ben mamish, and sometimes it could be something that it has a tangible. It could be the subject could be something tangible. The echad dvarim she'ein behem mamish, and sometimes it could be something about something that's not tangible. A shvuah is very broad ranged. Says the Mishnah, Ketzad, what is it like a dvarim shel atzmai? So an example is Omar, if a person says Shavua she'atein li'ish pliny, I swear I'm going to give a gift to so and so, and v'shaloi etein, or it could be, first of all, it's positive, or you make a shvuah in the negative. I did not give. I'm not going to give. So that's in the future. Shenasati v'shaloi nasati, and I gave a gift to somebody, or I did not give a gift to somebody. That's a devarim shel atzmai. Now, I want to point out to you, as we said many times in the pasuk, the pasuk only discusses oy nefesh, as you can see on the screen, oy nefesh ki sesava, if a person swears lahara to do bad, or lahetiva to do good. But the pasuk only describes something in the future, but it does not describe the past. Can you make a shvuah in the past? I mean, obviously you can make a shvuah in the past, but will you be mechayev a korban if you violate it by mistake? So we don't know that. Our Tana will hold that yes. Hi, Lewis. We just began. She'ishan, if a person swears, I will sleep. Shaloi ishan, I will not sleep. She'yashanti, a person swears, I slept. V'shaloi yashanti, and a person swears, I did not sleep. So that's a type of shvuah, she'ein behen mamish, which is not about a tangible item. What about somebody who swears that something that has no relevance? It's not good, no bad. It's like it's almost meaningless. For example, a person swears she'ezreik tzroy liyam. I'm going to throw a rock into the lake. V'shaloy ezreik, or he swears I'm not going to throw a rock into the lake. Shezarakti, or he swears in the past tense, I did throw. V'shaloy zarakti, or he swears I did not throw. Either way, it's a devar she'ein b'hem mamish. It doesn't have, it's not lahara to do bad or to do good. It's parva, so to speak. Nevertheless, the dinei shvuas bitui are applied by these type of shvuas, and so that if a person violates it by mistake, he has to bring a korban oil of yard. Comes along the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Shmuel says, "Einoi chayev ela al ha'asud lavai." You only chayev if you take a shvuah that takes effect into the future, but not a shvuah that takes effect in the past. So, because by the korban oil of yared, it says shnema lahara ilahetiv, that you swear that you're going to do bad or to do good. So that's in the future. So only then that's the subject of shua's bitui. And if you violate that, then you have to bring a korban oil of yared. But if a swearing in the past tense, that will not going to apply. Amr loy Rabbi Kiva, so Rabbi Kiva disagreed, and he says in Cain, if you're going to take the pasuk literally, ainly eladvarm sheesh ben harav atava, then the shvuah should only apply by things that are good or bad. You swear you're going to eat, or you swear you're not going to eat. But what about dvarim she'ein behem harav atava menayim, something that's in between, that's not bad or good, it's just something, like you swear you're going to throw a rock into the lake. How do you know that's subject to the Shavuos biti? Amalais, Rabbi Shmuel answered Rabbi Kiva, Miribi Akosef. There's an extra addition in the pasuk that from the extra words in the pasuk, that's why we're marba, we include even something that's not bad or good. Amalai, so Rabbi Akiva answered back, Imriba Hakosef Lakach, if you say that the Torah included something that's not good or not bad, Riba Hakosef Lakach, then you could say also that the Torah included something that is is in the past tense. Says the Gemara, Taner Rabban, the rabbis taught. There's some stringencies in a neder over a shvua. And sometimes there's stringencies over a shvua over a neder. There's stringencies about a neder. Now, neder is when you aser the item on yourself. So shanadarim cholim al dvar mitzvah. A neder could apply even if you make a neder on a dvar mitzvah. One could say that this esrig is aser to me. So you're asering the esrig. So that neder could be chal. You're not allowed to use that esrig. Kidvar reshus, just like a permissible item that's not a mitzvah item. For example, you could say this pizza is aser to me. Masha and shvuos would not work. One could swear I'm not going to eat pizza, but one can't swear I'm not going to use an esrig. I'm not going to use an esrig because a shvua you have a chayves gavra. You already have an obligation to do the mitzvah of esrig. So therefore, you can't take a shvua not to do that. Choymer b'shvuos, but shvuos has a stringencies. Shashvuos chalis al davar shein by mamish k'davar sheyesh by mamish. A shvua can take effect on something that's not tangible. For example, you can swear that I'm not going to sleep, and you could swear you are going to sleep. But a neder cannot be take effect on something that's not tangible. You can't say I have a neder to sleeping. Sleeping is not an item that you have that could take an isser of a neder. Mashenke min nedarim would not work in this way. Now, the Mishnah said Ketzad. Mishnah said, what's an example of you? The subject is you doing good for somebody. Omar, if a person said, I'm going to give somebody a gift or not. So my etain, what does he mean that he swears that he's going to give a gift to somebody? Ile medu, say tzedakah, he's giving charity to a poor person, and a person who swears that he gives charity to a poor person, that is a shvuas bitoy. How could that work? You have an obligation from Mahar Sinai that if a poor person comes to you, you have to give him charity. So how could you take an oath that I'm going to give him charity? Shenema, the pasuk says, "Nasin titan lo," you have to give charity. So once you have a shvua to give charity, you can't make another shvua on top of that. Ella must be the Mishnah is talking about matana la'ashir. You swear you're going to give a gift to a rich person. Oh, in that case, there is no obligation to give a matana to a ashir. So then, if you swear to do so, that's called a shvuas bitui. Then the Mishnah said, "Ishan v'shlo ishan." You could swear that I'm going to sleep or I'm not going to sleep. Eini. So the Gemara asks the question, that's not true. How could you swear that I'm not going to sleep? I make an oath that I'm not going to sleep. When you say you're not going to sleep, so what does that mean? You're never going to sleep. Rabbi Yochanan said, if a person says, I'm not going to sleep for 3 days, Malkin, or you say to give him Malchus, Yashen La'alta, we put him to sleep right away. In other words, it's a Shvuah Shav. Because a human being, can't go more than 3 days without sleeping. So how could a person take an oath that I'm never going to sleep? Why is that a valid Shvuas Bitoy? That should be like a Shvuas Shav, which doesn't fall under the category of carbon oil of Yared. And says the Gemara, Hossam, by the case of Rabbi Yochanan, the Oma Gimel, he said, I swear I'm not going to sleep for 3 days. So then Rabbi Yochanan's correct. You give him Malchus right away. Hachin, our Mishnah, the Oma Gimel. You didn't say I'm not going to sleep for 3 days. You just said I'm not going to sleep as long as I cannot sleep. So maybe you meant at least 2 days, or where humanly possible. So that case, the shvuah is bitui, and probably you also have to say, I swear I'm not going to sleep for 1 day or something like that. So to put a limit to it, and therefore the shvuah is a shvuah biti, not a shvuah shav, and that it works. Now the Mishnah said, "She'ezrek troyli v'shlo yezrek." The person swears, I'm going to throw a rock to the lake, or I'm not going to throw a rock to the lake. Here is an interesting question, an interesting machlokes. Itmar, we learned shvuah. I swear, shezorak ploini troyli. I swear that so and so threw a rock into the lake. Okay. Now v'shlo yezrek, or he did not throw. So he's saying something about the past tense that somebody did. Now, if you think about it, this person cannot say a future neder. He can't say, I swear somebody will throw a rock into the sea, because you can't control that somebody. So this is a type of shvuah that could be in the positive and the negative, but can't be in the future. It could only be in the past because you can't control somebody else. So if a man says, I swear that somebody threw a rock into the river, Rav says that's still a good shvuah. Shmuel amapater, and Shmuel says it's not liable. Rav says it's chayiv. Isi b'la. You can make it in the positive and the negative, and therefore that's enough. Although it can't be into the future, as in the past, it's still considered a valid shvuas bitui. Shmuel says potter leisa bilhaba. It cannot be in the future. Because the shvuah cannot be in the future, it doesn't fall under shvuas bitui, because you can't say, I swear somebody will throw a rock into the sea. So the Gemara understood, before understanding Shmuel, as Shmuel explained his reasoning, maybe they're arguing what Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva. Remember, Rabbi Shmuel in the Mishnah said that a shvuah, there's no such a thing of a shvuas bitui in the past. The Tanam we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shmuel eina chayiv el al asad lavish. Shvuas bitui is only a future type of shvuah. Shneamal lahara lehetiv. Amalei Rabbi Kiva says, "In Cain, Einlin Dvarim Sheyesh Mehamarav Tava, Dvarim Sheyesh Mehamarav Tava Menayim, Amalei Meriba Akasev, Amalei Meriba Akasev Kach, Meriba Akasev Kach." Rabbi Kiva said that a Shavua could be also Shavuos Biti is also on the past. So let's align the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel with Rav and Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Rav, the Amar Rabbi Kiva, Rav says like Rabbi Kiva that as long as it can be in the past, that a shvuah could be in the past, and therefore that's why Rav says you're liable. Ushmuel, the Amak Rabbi Shmuel, and Shmuel says like Rabbi Shmuel, because the Mara understood that the reason why Shmuel says it's potter is because it's a past tense shvuah, and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shmuel that a past tense shvuah is not a shvuah, it's bitui. You can only make a future tense shmuel, a future tense shavua. So the Gemara says that's not the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. Alib the Rabbi Shmuel kuli amelai pligi. Everybody holds, according to Rabbi Shmuel, shvua shazarak pleni tzraliyam is not a shvua because it's in the past tense. Hashta milsa the isa b'labal mechayev Rabbi Shmuel. Even if it was a normal shvua which you could make into the future, lemechayev Rabbi Shmuel l'shavar. Rabbi Shmuel would not consider it an oath if you made that same oath in the past. For example, you could say, I swear I'm going to give something to somebody, but Rabbi Shmuel says if you say, I gave something to somebody, is not a shvuah. So any past tense shvuah is not a shvuah. So milsa da'leisla bal something that can never be in the future, certainly it's not a good shvuah in the past if you make a past tense shvuah. All past tense shvuahs doesn't exist according to Rabbi Shmuel. When is the machlekes between Rav and Shmuel? Leave the Rabbi Kiva. According to Rabbi Kiva, Rav holds like Rabbi Kiva that as long as it could be positive and negative, you can make a shvuah in the past. That's it. You can make it positive and negative, and it could be a shvuah in the past. But Shmuel says you need more than that to make a shvuah's bitui. You need positive and negative. Plus, it has to be able to be done in the past and the future. And therefore, Adkan, like Rabbi Kiva, Hossam, Rabbi Kiva did not say, Rabbi Kiva didn't consider it a shvuas bitui, l'sha'avar, a past tense shvuah, el milsa the isa b'lahaba, some type of shvuah that you can make into the future. I swear I'm going to give. I swear I gave. So that works both past and future. So Mechayev Rabbi Kiva Shava. So Rabbi Kiva would Mechayev such a past tense Shavua. A type of Shavua that cannot be expressed into the future. I cannot express Shavua that somebody else will throw something into the sea because it's not something that I control. I could only make a Shavua in the past. Loy. Then even Rabbi Kiva would agree that it's not a Shavuos Bitoy. And that's how Shmuel holds that even according to Rabbi Kiva, you wouldn't consider that Shavuos Zazar Plain Yisrael considered it to be a good Shavuot. So the Gemara now wants to say it again. Lema b'plukte, let us say, we go to Amud Beis, maybe they're arguing on another Machlekes Tanoim. Rav and Shmuel are arguing like the Machlekes Tanoim of Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira and Rabbanan. The Tanah we learned in the Mishnah. We're going to learn later on Daf Chav Zayin. A person swears he's going to refrain from doing a mitzvah. For example, he swears he refrains from putting on tefillin. And he didn't refrain. He actually put on tefillin. Potter, he's not liable. Because, obviously, you have the obligation to put on tefillin, so you cannot swear that you're going to refrain from putting on tefillin. You can't violate a previous shvuah that you have to do the mitzvah of tefillin. L'kayim is a mitzvah. Let's say you swear that I'm going to do a mitzvah. You swear you're going to put on tefillin, v'loikiyim, and you did not put on tefillin. Potter, you're also potter from a shvuah's bitui, because you already have a shvuah on you to put on tefillin, so you can't make another shvuah on top of that. You would have been liable according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said, a person could make a shvuah on an optional thing, like he could say, I swear I'm going to run a marathon. So mitzvah shemuz b'alem har Sinai ein yadin shechayv alav. So according to a mitzvah, certainly that you have an obligation. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says with this kal v'chomer that you should be able to make a shvuah on a dvar mitzvah. Amar loy. So the Chachamim answered to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, loy, not so. An optional shvuah shekein also b'lav kehein. You have a choice to do it. You say, I swear I'm going to run the marathon, or I swear I'm not going to run the marathon. So it could go positive and negative. Time of b'shvuas mitzvah, but a shvuas mitzvah is not a good. You can't make a shvuah on a mitzvah. You can't make a negative like you can make a positive. You know, you can say, I swear I'm going to put on tefillin, but how could you say, I swear I'm not going to put on tefillin when you already have a shvuah that you have to put on tefillin? So therefore, if you swear that you're going to put on tefillin, since it cannot be done in the negative, there's no shvuas bitoy over there. So how does this line up with the person throwing the stone into the sea? Neima Rav Da'amak Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, Shmuel Da'amak Rabban. Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, and therefore, just like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, you could swear on a mitzvah because you don't need lav kehein, right? So you don't need lav kehein. You don't need positive and negative because Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira holds you can make a shvuah on a mitzvah. He would also hold you don't need something to be done lahaba. You don't need the shvuah to be able to be expressed lahaba. Shmuel the Amar Karabanan, and Shmuel is more strict like the Rabbanan. Just like the Rabbanan require you lav kehein, the Rabbanan will also require you that the shvuah has to be able to be expressed in the future, and if it can't, it's not a shvuah's bitoy. That's why Shmuel holds you potter. Answers the Gemara, not so. Aliba the Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira kuli amalei pligi. Rav and Shmuel, when it comes to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, everybody doesn't argue because certainly it's a good shvuah. Positive and negative, you don't need, because he says it doesn't have to be positive and negative, even though the Chumash tries to give you the example of lahara lahetiv, that any shvuah has to be able to be taken into the negative and to the positive. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says don't take that literally. So what's written in the Chumash you don't take literally. Certainly what's not written in the Chumash you don't take literally. It doesn't have to be in the future. You'd be able to take it in the future. As long as it can be taken into the past, it's a valid shvuah. According to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Ki pligi, but when are they really arguing? When is Rav and Shmuel arguing? Aliba de Rabbanan, according to the opinion of Rabbanan. Shmuel Karabbanan. Shmuel holds like Rabbanan. That hold that it's not a good shvuah. Because just like a shvuah that's not la v'hein is not a good shvuah, a shvuah that cannot be expressed in lahaba is also not a good shvuah. It's not a shvuah's bitui. For Rav will say like this: Ki lo mechayv rabbanan. When the rabbanans are strict about it, the la v'hein they require shvuah to be done in the positive and the negative. The ksiv lahara lahetiv behedya, because the Torah tells you that a shvuah has to be done in the positive or the negative, because it says that in the Chumash lahara or lahetiv. But lahabal l'sha'avar the miribuye dekroy asi. That's coming from the extra words in the pasuk. So it's not written in the pasuk that the shvuah could be done in the past tense. So if a shvuah can only be done in the past tense and not in the future, Rav will hold mechayvi that Rabbanim will hold that it's still considered a shvuah's bitoy. So even though Rav we'll say according to Rabbanan, you don't a shvua needs la vehein, right? In our case, you can swear that the person threw the rock into the sea or did not, but it doesn't require you that this shvua should be able to be expressed in the future. And because of that, therefore, even though this shvua cannot be expressed in the future, because you can't say, I swear that somebody will throw a rock into the sea, it's nevertheless still, according to Rav, a valid shvua, and it'll be under the subjects of shvuas bitoy that if you violate it by mistake, you have a carbon. So two questions, and then we'll end. Masav Rav Hamnuna asked the question. It says in the Brisa, Lo halchalti hayoim, v'lo nachti tefillin hayoim, mashbiach hanoi ve'amam amen. The guy swears that he didn't put on 8 today, or didn't put on tefillin today, chayiv. Then he's chayiv. So he's liable for a shvuah. He swore in the past that he didn't put on tefillin yet, or didn't eat today. Bishlam al-eichalti. I understand why it's a good shvuah, because when you say lo-eichalti, you can make it into a future type of shvuah. Ella loy hanachti. If a person swears that I didn't put on tefillin, so why is that a valid shvuah that you chayiv a carbon? Can a person say I will not put on tefillin? So this cannot be in the future because you have to put on tefillin. So you can't make a shvuah I'm not going to put on tefillin. So because it's a shvuah that cannot be expressed in the future, it should not be chayiv a carbon oil of yared if you violate it by mistake. So this brisa seems to question the opinion of Shmuel, who holds in such a case you would be potter. Answers the Gemara, who moisav lav, who mafarakla. Rav Hamnuna asked the question, and he gave his own answer. Let's dadin kedanu. You read it side by side. Lo yachalti, if you violate lo yachalti, le carbon, you're chayiv a carbon, because that's a regular shvuas biti. Lo hinachti. So then, le malchus, you only get malchus on such a shvuah. It's not a shvuas bitoy that if you violate it by mistake, you chayiv a carbon. The reason why you're not chayiv a carbon, because in order to be chayiv a carbon, the Torah requires shvuas bitoy to be something that could be expressed into the future. And here you can't say loy aniach tefillin. I will not put on tefillin. So therefore, the only type of violation you probably can have on this kapara that you could have on such a shvuah is if you do it on purpose. You violate it by you said a lie on purpose, so you can get malchus. But for carbon, it wouldn't work. So chayiv, don't take it means on tefillin. It's only going on chayiv carbon is only going on chalte hayoim. One more question. Masav Rava. Rava asked another question according to Shmuel. Shmuel's opinion is that if a shvuah cannot be expressed into the future, it's not a good shvuah. Ezehi shvuah shav. What's called a shvuah shav? What's called a shvuah shav? So, nishba l'shanes es yadua la'adam. A person swears to change something that's known to a person. What's an in vain shvuah? V'amar, he said, al amud shel even, he says, on a stone pillar, Shushazav, he says, I swear it's gold. Really, it's stone. Va'ama Ula said, what's called a shvuah shav, if 3 people know that pillar was made out of stone, and he swears that it's made out of gold, and obviously he's just trying to change what is a fact, so that's called a shvuah shav. So that's what Ula required, that the known item, the amud, the pillar, has to be known for at least more than 3 people that it's made out of stone. And so this guy swearing that it's gold, he's just taking an in vain shvuah. So Tama the Nikar, it's only the reason why that it's a shvuah is because it's recognized by 3 people. Ha loy nikar, but if it's not recognized by 3 people, oivim mishum shvius bitoy. Let's say only one person knows it's made out of stone, and he swears, I swear it's made out of gold. So then that would be a shvuas bitoy, not a shvuas shav. Remember, shvuas shav only gets malchus by a violation by mishagig. There's no carbon. A shvuas bitoy is with the violation b'shagig, you would have to bring a carbon oil of yared. Now, so what we're saying over here is that if a person could swear on a stone pillar that it's made out of gold, it would be a shvuas bitoy if nobody knows for certain, if it's not so well known that this is a stone pillar. Maybe some people think it's gold. Va'amai. So why would it be a shvuas bitoy? But you can't say this will be of gold. I mean, either it's either it's gold or not, but you can't say something will turn into gold. So it's basically it's a shvuas bitui that cannot be expressed into the future. Nevertheless, this brisa seems to say that despite that, it would be considered a shvuas bitui. So this is a kash on Shmuel. Shmuel says that if you can't express a shvua into the future, so that's not a shvuas bitui. Answers the Gemara, who moisav lavu mafarakla. Rava asked this question and he gave his own answer. Nikar, if it's known for three people, oiver mishum shvua shav, then you get the avera shvua in vain shvua, because you're taking a shvua to undo a known fact. Loy nikar, if it's not recognized as a known fact, some people think it's gold, some people think it's stone. Oiver mishum shvua sheker, it's called a shvua sheker, like shavu, don't swear falsely. But if you violate that shvuah sheker, you won't have to bring a korban. It wouldn't fall under the shvuas bitoi, which means shvuas bitoi is a special type of shvuah where you will be required to bring a korban if you violate it by mistake. And therefore, this brisa is not a question against Shmuel. Okay, Be'ez Hashem will continue tomorrow with Amar Abaya.
Fair, thank you.